everybody who's tuning into these videos. So, Transparency Day 19, Day 19 of 30. Thank you to all that have switching on in a very beautiful spot today on the planet. An amazing permaculture research foundation, Bahria Oasis in Malta. Beautiful part of the world. You can't see the sea down there today, but it's down there doing its thing. So what's alive in me today? Yeah, it's been an interesting few days, and actually this is something that was popping up for me. It's like, wow, why am I doing these transparency videos, and ultimately what are they for? And I might have said this in one of the first videos, but actually they're ultimately for me. And not to make that sound too selfish, but for a long time I've been recording conversations on Simon on the Sofa. A very long time, several years. And those conversations started from a desire to share love in the world, a desire to seek truth, to uncover if there was other people in the world really talking about some key topics that at the time had really shook my world and changed my perception and view on reality in so many ways. And as I said on one of the other videos, if you've been following all of them, I don't want to sound repetitive, but I started absorbing a lot of content, so many documentaries about the world, the water, conspiracies, pharmaceutical companies, society on a whole, education system, monetary system, our passports and our identification numbers, and government and secret societies, and the police, and the police and the military. And so lots and lots of information was flying around, and of course still is. But that's when I actually started to absorb it. And that was after what is called by Carl Jung a peak experience that I had. I've had many different peak experiences since, but this was a repercussion of a peak experience that happened to me, where I sort of, let's say, shifted the way that I was viewing the world, and saw beyond my limited self and my belief structures that were keeping me very limited and contained, and just in unawareness, a lot of ignorance and unawareness and unconscious behaviors. And just because ultimately I just wasn't educated in any way. No, I don't mean educated at school. I went to school and pretty much finished the schooling on the sort of society's education system. But I don't mean that. I mean, just how very little I really knew, and at the same time I still know very little now. But the sort of essence of who we are, I never really explored who I am or what I am, or never really explored the brain or biology or physiology or how our body functions. And then of course I didn't really explore too much. I don't remember anything in school exploring much about the world itself and energy and the structures and the psychology and all this stuff. So this was really, so at the moment, after several years of recording conversations, I wanted to record these videos of transparency as a sort of stepping stone, really, for myself of like, what do I want to share right now in the world, and why, and what do I want to contribute to, and not just be contributing to all the noise that's out there, but is what is it? What is my expression? What's my unique expression? What's my individuality? What does it want to express? Not just what other people are doing, or falling into society's comparison and competition and the addiction of social media and getting the dopamine hit and the distractions from myself. Why am I creating these videos? So I guess that's what's alive in me today, and what's come up is really beautiful, because I'm always inquiring and questioning and, you know, and checking in with myself. And I've been doing these retreats for a long time, and everything always sort of in essence has this like divine design, and one thing leads to another, as I'm sure you are all totally aware of. And there's that beautiful saying that, you know, you can never connect the dots going forward. You can only ever connect the dots by looking back in what you've been and what you've experienced and so on. That's sometimes why hindsight is such a beautiful thing. It can be sometimes challenging, but, you know, through experience we then can look back and go, oh, well, you know, if I'd have known that then I would have done this and this. But you have to have the experience. So today's talk is really just, I guess, my personal inquiry right now around transparency, around communicating truth, around looking at society of what's unfolding and the structures that are crumbling away and the new ones that want to be birthed, and all the confusion and chaos in the world where, you know, people are finding so much information. As I said on the past few videos, there's so much information now, trillions times more than in the last 50 years, and we're being inundated and bombarded with opinions, points of views, and just beliefs and concepts and theories. So what became clear to me yesterday is I made a post. I don't know if any of you follow some of the stuff I share on this other crazy platform, Facebook, but often I share stuff, and I'm not very active on all of these platforms. I don't really use them in maybe the way they can be used. I don't, you know, I recently questioned how to use certain platforms like the one you're watching this on YouTube and so on, because now in all the years I haven't actually really studied the platforms. I've watched a couple of videos that tell you, you know, do this, do that and the other, and I always feel a bit like they're just about marketing and manipulation, and like, you know, you've got to force people to come and watch your stuff, or you've got to do certain things to coerce people to like you and subscribe and all that, and it's always felt very, just very difficult for me to do that fully. I've attempted it in many times, and sometimes people have even said, oh, you're so good at, you know, marketing and sharing and stuff like that, and like part of me has a big sort of aversion to the whole word marketing, because, you know, ultimately it's about sales and selling something and selling beliefs and selling ideas and selling everything's about selling. Like, come and watch me, come and listen to me, you know. It's also an aspect of the ego mind, you know, the need to be seen, the need to be heard, the need for recognition and all that. So it's always like this very vulnerable thing to put yourself on video and share what's really alive in you, and especially if you're I'm not in this case, but especially if you're out there and you're trying to be somebody, or trying to be an authority, or somebody who knows something, because, you know, there's even books out there that teach you about how you must become an authority, and when you're an authority, people want to listen to you, and when people listen to you, they want to buy your product, and you drip them through the drip feed of the marketing funnel of like giving them a taste, leading them in, building them up. So I've always looked at that, and through many of the greats that do it and do it well, and it hasn't filtered into something I want to do. While at the same time, I just always want to do it from a pure place of transparency and be clear on what I'm doing and what I'm offering and what I'm sharing, if that is the case, because of course I have needs of functioning in this society, which has, you know, needs money and needs travel and needs food and all the other things that you guys watching this will be needing too, yeah? So I'm not excluded from any of that. But it's like, I think many of you know what I'm talking about, and maybe some of you out there I know that watch my stuff, you know, you're trying to put yourself out there in different ways, and, you know, we have many more ways of creating and generating gift now, and resources and money and flow of support through the internet, through YouTube, through being able to travel around and be digital nomads and so on. So it's, you know, there's so many choices and options, which is great. But I guess just to finish today's video, what's alive was that by putting a post out yesterday, going back to what I said a moment ago on the Facebook, I put a post out about the sexual suppression that I've been really aware of this for a long, long time. And this sexual suppression I've pointed to and alluded to in many of the conversations that have popped up on Simon so far, and even in my own just dialogues I have with other people, not necessarily recorded, has always been pointing me back to, even through meditation, pointing me back to the deep unconscious, suppressed nature around what I sometimes say the 4 taboos, but sex, truth, death, and money. These are like the 4 taboos of our society. And sex has been a huge one for me. And as I've been exploring with Dara over the last 4 years, and previous beautiful girlfriends in my life that have, you know, walked with me through a lot of my unconsciousness, and even at times when I thought I was more conscious and more aware. And now I'm getting to this stage where, like, right, what do I actually want to support men with? What do I really want to support women with? Or what do I want to share from my experiences? And it really is this sense of sexual suppression that we all have, because we haven't, for whatever reason, been educated in that field. We haven't studied it. We haven't had time. We've been distracted. We've all been out there, you know, blind, without a roadmap, exploring and getting different opinions and having different sexual experiences. And what I've come to realize is actually our society, as let's say, orchestrated that. It's not about pointing fingers and saying certain people have orchestrated that, but the society itself, this self-perpetuating invisible prison, that this hamster wheel of dysfunction that we've all found ourselves on, has actually played a huge role in suppressing our sexuality, suppressing our power that is actually can be generated through our genitals, through our bodies, through breath, through connecting with our genitals and with the other person, in my case with other women, other men, whatever. And then through that real deep bond, you know, you could say, some people talk about this in Tantra, but I don't want to allude to just Tantra, but just in general, this sense of really freeing ourselves and de-armoring ourselves intimately, sexually, that can liberate us. And then when we're liberated from that place, we can communicate more, we can communicate more authentically, we can express ourselves more, we can experience more love, we can experience more deep bond with ourselves and other, with life. And then from that place, we sort of dissolve or drop into a more being state. It's like when you make love, and after you've made love, you feel so great. So many people have had great insights and realizations when they make love. And if you think about it, most of what we do and create in the world is about making love. It's about using our sexual energy, our creative life force energy. All of our life force, all of our energy is ultimately, you could say, sexual energy. It's like, I mentioned once recently that everything you see out there is like, you know, life having, life's orgasm. Yeah, it's like a constant orgasm of expression, right? So if you just use some of these words to sort of point to what I'm sharing is, so if we suppress our sexual energy, we suppress our creativity, we suppress our life force, then of course we're going to get sucked into many things in the world that are of a dense frequency, and we're going to believe things like we're unworthy, or we're not lovable, or we can't get a partner, or we've got nothing to share, or, you know, we're meaningless, or, you know, there's a lot of shame and guilt around our sexuality, which keeps us in low dense frequencies, which makes us become addicts, and or most of our habits are sort of unconscious, unaware, a little bit off, a little bit seedy, a little bit what's the word? Yeah, let's just say a bit, you know, slightly dark. You know, it's like a sort of dark energy around them. And so, because this little hair tickles my nose all the time. You might watch my videos and see me rubbing my nose all the time. It's this, I've got to trim this beard. There's little hair in there. So basically, yeah, today there's a video I created a little bit further back in the Transparency Series about sexual suppression. And now, after sharing this post, and all of a sudden, out of all the posts I've ever shared in 7 years, or however long, I think about nearly 7 years I've been on social media and on Facebook and doing these talks, never, even when I've been really, like, let's say, very active on these platforms, have I ever had over 240 or 300 people reply or at least engage with a post. Now, I'm not talking about here the dopamine here, or that I need the likes or the recognition. But what that does for me is, I ask for a sign. In one of my meditations, there's an option at the end that says, show me a sign today if I'm on the right path. Now, I ask for a sign every day, and yesterday's sign was clear to me, because I've been asking, like, well, what's my direction? What do I really want to put my focus and energy right now? And the things that have been popping up in the last week are all around this sexual suppressed energy, and how if we are a species, if we are an awakened, sovereign, sexually charged species, and I don't just mean by going out and having loads of sex and ejaculating everywhere. I'll talk about this on another video. But if we are an awakened, sexually charged, embodied, fully owning our power, fully owning our electromagnetic juice, right? Let's call it. And then we won't make choices that are disconnected, dysfunctional. We won't get into habits and addictions that don't serve us in the whole. We won't do unloving acts. It just can't happen in that space. So this is something very, very alive for me, very real right now, and actually excites me. And whenever I have that natural excitement, I know that's where it's leading me. And again, I say, it's not just something recent. This has been coming for the last year. Even on the last retreat, we pulled these cards, and I got this Tantrika card. And on about 6 months ago, I was talking to Dara about really, this moving into, because I've been working and learning how to honor a woman more and more, and noticing the struggles that takes. And I was reading this great book, which I mentioned before, called Beyond Tantra, and everything's been leading to me towards body work, towards de-armoring myself, de-armoring Dara, and what that means as a man, to de-armor. And so that's where I'm at. So that's really what's alive in me. So these videos, actually the inquiry of these videos and me doing that and putting it out there and showing up transparently, has actually been very powerful just for me on my own process of like looking at what's alive and what wants to birth itself through me at this time. So that's what's alive in me today. And I'm going to read a chapter of the Charles Eisenstein book, because I'm well overdue for all you people that have been tuning into that. So I'm going to complete that book. I'm going to complete a couple of other projects that have been on my mind. And ultimately, the question that arose to yesterday was also, who am I in my grandest version of myself? And again, I have asked that question many, many times over the last 7 years. Like, what does it mean to dare to be great? Who am I in my grandest version of myself? What do I want to rewire? What old habits and attitudes and so on do I want to rewire? What behaviors, words and thoughts and feelings do I not want to have anymore? So I do that as a rewiring process. And now it's leading into this stage. So there you go. If you've been watching these videos, and again, I really appreciate it. And if you got something from it, maybe you're inspired to create your own videos. Maybe you're inspired to, ask some of the questions I'm asking, show up and be transparent and do your own thing. Like, get out there and express your truth and step into whatever you feel really excites you and is your bliss and contribution right now to life and this beautiful mystery, this beautiful chaos that we're surfing through at the moment. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and that's all from today. Take care.